And welcome back to the campfire, everybody. Cowboy Cliff Rogers here, independent wrestler extraordinaire, if you will. Joined here again with I'd like to call him a co-host when I feel like letting him co-host. Ladies and gentlemen, Gatekeeper is in the house. What's going on, sir?
Howdy.
What, are you trying to be me now? All right.
Fits.
Well, folks, it is the special Christmas edition, if you will. Got a very special guest in here. So, if a lot of people's been asking for this interview, so it's a Christmas gift. Don't say I never did anything for you. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, well, let's just set the stage here. We kind of didn't like each other for a while, and Keep can attest to this. We were supposed to go into a big rivalry, real life. Medical situations got in the way, and since then I've kind of turned a few leaves. I'm what they call a baby face now, not just because I'm handsome. And so now we can actually be civil and have him in here. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time, UWE wrestler and currently getting ready to make a comeback, the American Workhorse Logan Wade. What's going on, brother?
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh,
How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thriving.
Awesome. Well, dude, I've been trying to get you in here for a while.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with what I started with. First of all, a little background on if you've never heard the show. I'm originally from Austin, Texas, but I'm based out of central Louisiana. I actually learned how to wrestle in Pineville, Louisiana. It's a dot on the map. Don't Google it. And that's where I met these two gentlemen. They had actually just already Gatekeeper was fully trained up as a referee and just starting to learn how to wrestle. Wade over here was the big guy on campus. I mean, he was the one that everyone saw on the poster and was like, okay, this might be some legit stuff here.
No, you flattered.
Well, I mean, I remember going into tryouts and just seeing this big, hairy, half grizzly. He comes walking in a tank top, and there is some carpet coming off of them shoulders. And I was like, oh, okay, we got to wrestle him, don't we?
It's intimidating.
So, yeah. And then you get in there and realize, ain't so bad. If he doesn't want it to be so bad.
Right,
But,
Probably one of the most safest guys you can be in the ring with, though.
So, Logan, let's go ahead and tell these great listeners a little bit more about yourself. How'd you get started in the business? Well, I know how you got started. You went to tryouts. But what kind of planted that seed? What told you as a kid or whatever, hey, I'm going to do this?
Oh, man, at a very, very young age, wrestling was always a big part of my life. Excuse me. It, just growing up watching it, fortunately, I didn't grow up enough around it.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it on TV and things like that, I've always wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be not a superstar per se, but I wanted to compete. I feel like I'm a natural born athlete. Yeah, I may not look like it. Justin Rose always say he didn't look like the athlete.
Ladies, like it or not, this man is peak human performance. That's what it looks like.
Take it.
But I mean, I like to compete, and what better way than wrestle?
Right. Yeah.
And I grew up playing football and sports and things of that nature, and wrestling was always just not on the table until a few years ago. Seen an ad on Facebook. A school was opening up here locally, and I told my wife then, I was like, you know what? I'm reaching the age where some of these dreams just aren't going to be approachable.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it, I need to at least try to do it now. So we talked about it. She agreed, and it's been smooth sailing ever since until just the last year or so. But that wasn't due to wrestling or nothing. But I met up with Dapper Dan. Had a great meeting with him.
Okay, so I actually want to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know the story. I want the listeners to know the story. Dapper Dan's a great coach, great trainer, great human being. Don't tell him that, but he is. And the thing is you when I came in, you and him had hit it off pretty well, and y'all kind of had that mentor-mentee thing going. But that was not the case when you first reached out to this guy, I heard that you grilled this dude, like because and rightfully so, because this is actually a good little segment here. It's very relatable. All you people out there that want to get into pro wrestling, I've said it before. Research you school, research you guy.
Yes.
There is way too many. We call them outlaw promotions down here in Louisiana that aren't trained, no credentials. They just either build a ring and think they know what they're doing, or they buy one. I mean, you can buy a wrestling ring just like you can buy anything else online.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they start quote unquote training people. So Logan over here, much like a lot of us. You know, you guys were that guinea pig group. Y'all were the very first guys to ever sign up. So naturally, y'all were like, all right, is this going to be a bunch of crap in someone's backyard? You know.
So I can tell you exactly how it went down. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm friends. Millennial Mike is like a brother to me.
There we go. Sound it up.
You know, we are very, very, very tight. And we got into this. We were a part of the first class together. We've been on this journey side by side. So we actually worked together at this time. And, you know, we both knew the risk that, you know, there, like you said, there are scammers out there that'll take your money. And we're talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 up front.
Yeah.
And then train you in their backyard, quote unquote.
Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks later, oh, you're good enough, and they'll cut you loose. And then some of them even just up and disappear. Like you never hear from them again. You don't know where the hell they went. You know, it's just, and then you're out that money.
Yeah.
So me and Mike were talking, and you know, we were like, dude, like, we absolutely, if we're going to take this risk, we cannot get scammed. Like, we talked about, like, and this is crazy, and I don't think either one of us really had the heart to do it. But we're like, dude, we're going to break this dude's legs if he takes our money and runs, you know? You know, it's just, so we sat down with a list of questions. Yeah, and legitimate questions, you know, things that we knew about the business and, you know, what we were expected to learn, how training would go, what kind of regimen, you know, things of that nature.
And that's not overstepping at all.
No, by no means.
I think things, you know?
I think every student should really consider that before they join any school.
Yes. Definitely.
And so anyway, me, him, and I reached out to another mutual friend of ours who also got into the school with us, and we were all like in a group chat, and
y'all had a click, didn't you?
We had a click. And I was like, okay, dudes, I'll go talk to him. So
send the big one in first.
Yeah, like it just didn't work out to where we could all be there. So they were like,
all right, go ahead.
But anyway, we were like, Logan, you're gonna have to go. You know, so I was like, you know, screw it, I don't mind going. And so I called Dap, and he arranged a meeting at a local pizzeria, which I'm okay with. There's food there, right?
I mean, duh.
And beer, right? Yeah. So I see this big jacked up Ford truck pulls up. And I'm just like, well, this got to be him. So he gets out the driver's side, and then like this big jacked up dude, which some of you may know, Tango.
Tango Lima.
Tango got out the passenger side, looking like a Bruce, like just big. Guys, he's huge. He's got muscles on top of muscles.
If Bruce Wayne was a real person out there, that's probably the body type.
Yeah, no joke, dude.
Monster.
He's actually for those that don't know, Tango is one of the original trainers of the UWE. He, of course, just tried to pick up too much dadgum weight, man. He ripped him. He ripped a very important tendon, so he's actually recovering as well. Max Steele, you can find him on the UWE Facebook page when you look us up. But anyway, so you ran into Dapper Dan and Max Steele same time.
Same time.
One's bigger than the other one. But see, the thing about Dap is he's just got just that hard ass aura coming off of him. I mean,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
smile. He's not an asshole, really,
No.
but he doesn't smile.
No.
And it's funny, we just said that Tango is the real life Bruce Wayne. I always said Dapper Dan is Commissioner Gordon if he got on the gas.
Yeah, no joke. Like you don't know how to take Dap until you actually sit down with him.
Yeah, I remember walking through the school for the first time, and I seen him, and I was intimidated.
Yeah, you have to be.
I was like, oh shit.
So anyway, they walk in, and my nerves were jumping around. Just for one, he looked mean as hell,
Yeah.
and then he's got his bodyguard with him, right? So I'm like, dude, like this goes crazier. They do take my money. There's no way I'm breaking their legs, you know?
It's not happening.
It's not
They're
happening.
gonna break your bank and your legs.
At the time, I'm almost 400 pounds. What am I going to do with this, right? So anyway, I didn't buckle. I stood up, shook their hands, introduced myself, and got to talking. And I pulled out a notebook, wham, set it on the table. They were like, "What is this?" I said, "This is my questions." I said, "You're not just here to interview me. I'm here to interview you." And I think that impressed Dap enough to where when I got in there and I started training, he really took me under his wing, and I'm very blessed for that. He's taught me a lot more about the business than most really know or care to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm very thankful to him for that. And so that meeting went well. I went back, told the guys, "Hey, it's legit. Let's do this." We had another meeting where we met some of the other first class members at the same pizzeria. We all went in there. Dap and the business partners come in with contracts, and he kind of told them the same thing that he told me in the meeting. And he was like, "Who'd be willing to sign a contract right now?" And there were 6 of us, I think, in the class. All 6 of us raised our hands, and we signed contracts right then and there.
There you go. You see, you got a bunch of eager people that are just like, yeah, give it to me, I'll sign it. But, you got to have somebody in the group, like Logan over here, that's like, okay, well, hold on. Yeah. Let's really go look at this guy. And, that's kind of the same way with me getting started is, Dapper Dan was mainly known in the territory system, mainly with NWA, Jim Crockett, and with Global, which was based up north. Yeah. And, us modern fans, it's all WWE, AEW. So, it's kind of, unless you're just on that old school kick and you're looking at old school stuff on YouTube, it basically when I saw it was going to be Dapper Dan, the trainer, I was like, talking about the fat guy in the NWA now, Dapper Dan Van Zant? Like,
right, yeah.
what?
So I actually seen him too, yeah.
So I was like, well, I didn't know he lived here. And then I actually start, trying to find pictures of him, and I couldn't. And then, and I've told him this before. He kind of laughed it off. I was like, dude, I thought you were going to be this, well, he is an older guy, but I thought you weren't going to look like this. I thought you were going to be a guy that like, I wrestled in a sportatorium in 1987 and not done it since then. And then show up in a T-shirt and some cargo shorts. Man, all right, I'm going to teach you how to wrestle. And then just, roll around. And I just got done watching the or one of the many interviews. Ever since The Undertaker retired, he just blew the doors off and started doing podcasts and stuff like this. So he was talking about when he got trained, it's exactly what happened. It was an older guy that used to be kind of something, and then he was just living at his camper, smoking cigarettes on the porch all day. And when Undertaker goes up there, Mark Calloway, he's like, "How you doing, sir?" Mark Calloway, "I'm really interested in getting in the business." "Oh, yeah. Come back tomorrow and bring 2 friends. Y'all bring $100 each, and we'll train you." And he literally just put them on yoga mats in the yard, and he would just get out there and just stretch them out, and just to say, yeah, that was fun. So I was thinking like, that's what this is going to be. My first experience. You guys had already done your guinea pig stuff, so y'all actually did an open tryout. Again, I'm thinking, what are we trying out for? Are we getting a spot on the card that night? Like, what's going on with this? So
It's possible.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, you're a big wrestling fan. You've done a lot of much like you grew up playing sports and messing with horses and stuff. So I was just like, you're getting a little old, pal, to be doing something like that. But not old. I said, you know what? If I don't do it now, I'm just going to hate myself
Right,
when
exactly.
the older I get.
Yeah, exactly.
So I walk in there, and they're teaching us when you go to a pro wrestling tryout, if you've never done it before, this is a good teaching moment for all you listeners out there. If you've never done it before, don't be nervous. Don't be scared. They're not going to beat you up. This is how it's supposed to work. They get you in there to teach you how to run the ropes. That's the most important thing. And surprisingly enough, the ropes hurt more than the bump.
Yeah.
So
they do.
if you can get through that, and that's just before we take upwards of $3,000 from you, we want to make sure so that way you can't come back and be like, oh, this is a bunch of crap. So you know what you're getting into. So you hit the ropes, so you attempt to take a bump. That's the scariest thing in your mind. It's a big mind game. You take that bump, and then if all that looks okay, well, then you get offered a spot. If it don't look okay, well, then you're just a liability, and that's probably when DAP's going to have a talk with you, like, hey, man, I'm really glad you came in, man. Just bless your heart.
Yeah.
It can be one of those situations.
Yeah.
So luckily, I don't think we've ever had anybody. I mean, well, no, we had one gentleman come in to try out, but he was like close to 60, and it was like a bucket list item. And luckily, he just didn't show back up. We didn't have to hurt any feelings there.
I have, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I have seen one guy come in. He ran the ropes fine, took a bump, was like, "Yep, this is not for me," and he left. He just got up and left.
Yeah,
And we've had a lot come to the school and do the basics, and they're just like, I can't do it, and it's nothing to be like. I tell people, this sport, your body is not supposed to do the things that we have to make our bodies do.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, it's not.
And it is you have to be in some kind of physical form shape, but it's a lot of mental game to it too.
So, Logan, let's talk about the athletic transformation. So we've already talked about kind of things to do when you're looking at getting into a wrestling school. Do your research. Don't be afraid to hold your ground and interview that guy.
Right.
But so now you got in the training, and how long were you guys? Because I didn't meet you guys, and even though that y'all all are living local in the area, I didn't even know you guys. So my first introduction to y'all was watching y'all's very first UWE show in Alexandria. It's a little place called the Gym, GEM, and it is. I'm actually looking at it right now.
Yeah,
And,
it's right over there. Yeah.
we're actually recording this one in Alexandria. I'm in town for the holidays. So, anyways, little tiny building. Packed house. I mean, to be fair, you can only fit about 30 chairs in there, but packed house.
Well, we lined up with almost 200 people in there. So.
Really?
Yeah, it was
okay, yeah.
Well over
Sardines in
capacity.
All right. Well, the fire marshal probably loved us.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean that.
that was my first introduction. So that was in July of 2021.
July 10th. Yep.
So how long had you been training before you got into that?
So I'll put it like this: we signed contracts in January. Okay, we started our first class. First day of training was February 1st. So we trained from February to I think the end of May. I think that's right. And
It's about 4 months.
yes. I mean, but guys, it was brutal. I mean, you got to think about it. February. It's freezing, right? And this little building we're in, it's not exactly the most eco-friendly. There's no heat. There's no air. It's you could see yourself, like, for me to be sweating as heavy as I was in February was ridiculous.
God.
So, but yeah, about 4 months, and yeah, I was in the best shape of my life. I will say that, and that was the fastest I've ever been in the shape of my life.
Yeah, the Apple. If you've got the time, then our trainer will. He'll keep pushing until he's not in the business of keeping you tied up for a year like a lot of schools.
No.
He keeps you. I think our classes are minimum 4 months, But we've got some guys like, the first guy I ever had on the podcast here, X Storms, he was just an anomaly.
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy athlete.
he just picked it up in like 2 weeks, and not everybody can just do that. But
he didn't graduate in 2 weeks, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Phenomenal athlete.
Yes.
he was working shows,
Very early on, like within a month.
And that's another insider thing in the business. A lot of y'all probably don't know is brand new wrestlers don't debut a gimmick right away.
No,
You do what's called an exhibition debut, where you're literally just in there with some generic name. You ever watch, on WWE when the local competitor, he doesn't even get entrance
the
music.
squash guys.
Yeah. And currently in the ring. Okay, yeah, good job. So,
Like Jim Johnson or just some
Yeah.
random name.
yeah, you're that guy. And a lot of time we just put a hood on you, put a mask on you.
Yeah.
And because if you have very distinct facial features, a really good face and all that, we don't want people to remember you as the guy that got squashed, so we'll just throw a hood on. But anyways, that is just to get you used because, Logan, you can explain this. How different is it having a great match with somebody in an empty school and then having the same match in front of like 100 people?
So if it's your first time, it's very intimidating.
Yes.
You. It's one thing to do it in a school, just amongst your brothers per se. You do form a brotherhood here. It's one thing to compete in front of them. To do it in front of total strangers is night and day. You can screw up something so simple and think you just ruined your whole match.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating. You got to have your wits about you.
Which is why we were told by Dapper Dan when we started our training is that he was trying kind of different methods. Like you guys were trained slightly different than me.
We were broke in hard.
Yeah. I heard the stories, and I'm like, you know what? I hate that I missed the first class.
Yeah, dude,
but you know what? I was like, I'm fine with that.
We ran bump drills where all we did was bump for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were broken hard. But you know what? To me, I think there's no better way.
Well,
Because in the beginning I was sore. As we went on, I didn't feel that. I was numb, dude. I was banging.
some of us, me, I don't know, I guess because I'm just born to be an idiot and get hurt, but bumping was pretty simple to me at first. So I didn't, at the tryout, like I said, I got in the middle of the ring, cross my arms, do everything they tell you to do, and I'm just thinking, okay, I got Joey Como, also known as Joey Jackson, gorgeous Joey Jackson from back in the he is quite gorgeous. Yeah. Anyway, he was in the early days of UWE. He was an old territory wrestler that tried to help out Dapper Dan. And they since went their separate ways. And there's no animosity. Joey has his own training facility down in South Louisiana, and he is not so much a school, but more of like an open gym for wrestlers that are passing through. Yeah. You pay your $10, $15 day pass, and then you have a ring, and you have guys you can train with. So, that's neat. But anyways, Joey went off and decided to just do that and not so much do the promotion and running an actual company. So, but at the time, Joey was in there. So I had this old dude with a just insane mullet. And he's looking right at me.
That's where he got his inspiration. No,
yeah, well, actually, that is. I was like, I think I'm going to do that. But,
and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Boy.
Thank you.
Morgan Wallen ain't got nothing on it.
I've actually been called Morgan Wallen in matches
That's
before.
An insult.
I've had kids and women. It's always kids and women. When I'm in Beaumont, Texas, working Hurricane, it's always Beaumont. They're always like, "Come on, such and such, don't let Morgan Wallen kick your ass." And I'm just like, you guys are idiots, man. I hate this place. I'm gonna leave.
That's great.
But anyways, I have this old dude, and he's laughing, kind of looking around like, all right, let's see what this one can do. Everyone's staring at me. I'm like, okay, don't be a bitch. Just do it. Just do it. So I just did it. I said, if you don't do it, you're going to get laughed out of here. And then, oddly enough, it just, the pain I thought was going to come from it just didn't come. I was like, oh, wait, that's it. And then I got up and did another one. And then That's yes. Yeah, when I got home, I was like, "Oh boy, I done something. I did something today." But I took two
all of
bumps.
us.
I said, this is gonna be a long ride. I just took 2 bumps, not 2,000. Like this is gonna suck. But that's kind of what got Dapper Dan's attention on me was he heard that boom, and then I remember he looked up and just piercing stare. And now the boss is looking at you. I'm like, oh crap, I got to do it again. All right, don't screw it up.
Yeah.
And then go in there. And when I came in at the time, UWE was dividing it up into classes. You had class 1, class 2.
Yeah.
Well, then nowadays we do it on your own time. If you want to come in and train, you just get thrown in the mix. We have additional trainers. In the early days, it was just Dapper Dan. Now we have Prince Fontenot. I've actually had him on the show. Great dude. Great heel. My God, he's a great heel.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, he's
Very entertaining.
he's one of those heels to where he needs to pull back a little bit on the funniness because he'll wind up turning baby if you don't watch it. But Prince, very educated guy, not just on the pro wrestling art form, but also in bodybuilding and physique training. So he actually made us look like, we're pro athletes and not just guys in shirts out here rolling around. But nowadays you get linked up with Prince, and Prince will take you one-on-one until you're caught up with the rest of the group. But at the time, he was waiting on this new crop to come in. So he had seen and he told us, he said, all right, guys, so I used to train a little differently. You can ask class 1. I used to think you just need to take a beating before you can learn to dish it out. He goes, kind of all I really accomplished was making the class go longer because they kept getting hurt. So he was like, so we're going to do a little different. So we actually learned backwards from y'all. We learned offense first. Yeah. And then the bump drills, the selling, all that was kind of after, like, okay, you know how to do an arm drag, you know how to throw a hip toss, you can hit the ropes, and you've learned the clothesline, top wrist lock. All right, now, after about a week or two of that, it's like, let's put it all together, and let's start working on that sell, because he's like, look, he says, you guys are doing great with these top wrist locks, but where's the emotion? If somebody really grabbed your arm and put it behind your head like that, you're going to be a little upset about it. He's like, so we kind of started backtracking on that. That was our method of it. These days, all 3 of us in this room, we're out of the school, and we are by no means, the man yet. And that's another thing that I think people need to know is just because you finish at school, you are not ready to just go out there and start doing.
You are not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this out here when you I'm talking to all you, as green as I am. And I am green. I've only been doing this for like over a year or so. We're fortunate enough to have UWE, and the way Dapper Dan does it, we have shows that we do. We don't have to go out and just kill ourselves to go find bookings and things like that. So we're very fortunate on that part. But for those that have to or just want to go and get outside your comfort zone, be careful and aware of where you go.
Yes.
Like if it's somewhere like you're not sure about them, you never really heard of them. I mean, do your research, just like we were talking about the schools. Do your research for the feds that you're going to get booked in.
Yeah.
If you don't know these guys from Adam, don't be afraid to go Google or Facebook or ask somebody that maybe knows them.
If they don't have a Facebook page, even be worried about that.
Yeah, worry about that part. When you get there and if your gut feeling is telling you something you don't need to be there, leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to, give the money back. If it makes you feel any better, give it back to the promoter if he's already paid you. Just the best thing for you to do is get out of there for something happens.
Yeah, you see, I've been bit once or twice actually. The first time I got bit with a bad booking was also, folks, something I wanted to add before I get into that little story is it's not a bad idea when you start wrestling and you have a school that's also a promotion. I call it a feeder promotion. They're kind of supplying their own talent. When you get linked up with somebody like that, stay there for a while and really master what you're doing, because how it will work is you get pretty well known in that little community. Then you kind of start going statewide with it. Now, if you get bookings in other states, if you get bookings elsewhere, take them or do your research, take them. But the goal in your first year or two isn't necessarily to be a road warrior and live in the car every weekend.
It's mastering the craft.
Yeah. Go ahead and get real comfortable with your own skin in that ring. Work as many different guys as you can in your little local spot, and then start branching out. But, some of our guys tried to just get on the horse way too fast. They were, my friend Punk Sinister, I bring him up every show, and he's kind of hard not to bring
He is
up.
a road warrior. Though, like, my goodness.
This man has wrestled in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He has wrestled in Ohio. He has been all over it. Now, well, and I'm making it sound like he's Ric Flair in it right here. What it is he's got family and stuff up there that find these promotions, and then he gets in contact via email, and they work a little something out, and he flies out there, and that's awesome. And I'm go get him, Punk. There you go. But not everybody has to just hop on the road right away. So a lot of you people out there are probably new to the business, and you're like, well, hold on, man, I got kids. And hey, man, that's the beauty of pro wrestling. You can make it what you want to make it. If you just want it to be every so often, I guess I'll dust off the tights and put them on. All we're asking is that you have respect for the business and keep your body in shape when you're not, because nobody wants to have to carry someone that gets blown up in 3 minutes. So just as long as you
very
keep,
true statement there.
yeah, and that's happened to me. We went to where was it, Keep? It was over I can't even Overton, Texas, I think.
Yeah.
And this gentleman, I can't remember his name. He knew of DAP, and his father was a worker that DAP knew, and he had died, and they were doing like a memorial show, and super last minute. I mean, DAP is on his way to Mississippi for another great promotion you guys need to look up. It's a Bayou Independent. Those guys can get it, and they have a lot of former TV talent, like ex-WWE talent they have flying in and stuff. So that's, pretty sweet little promotion. So DAP leased his ring out to him. So he's on the way there. So he gets a call, and he's like, hey, I need like 4 or 5 guys if you got them. And he's like, you got to pay them, but I'll round them up. So we go out there. We're looking for this building. We can't find it. I call him. There's, Go Rest High on that mountain's playing in the background. I'm like, oh, crap.
Good Lord.
I was like, oh, crap, they're doing a funeral.
That's a hell of a walkout song.
I was like, man, we got to find this venue. And he goes, oh, yeah, I see you. You here? And I was like, I am. It was a house. It was someone's yard. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Talking about that gut feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's a little late for that now.
Yeah, still too late. But,
So we get over there, and the guy I'm working, I go to, and I'm not going to go too deep into this because some things have to be saved for workers. But
absolutely.
but real briefly, I'll say I find the gentleman I'm going to be wrestling against, and I just get a little basic information. I was like, how long have you been doing this? That's all I asked, and he said 9 years, and I was like, sweet. I've only been doing it one. You call it. And I let the vet take over. This was not a real vet. Has he been in the business 9 years? I don't doubt that. Hey, he's probably one of those 1 match a year guys. Oh. So I was wrestling circles around this dude, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. So then I just do what Dapper Dan taught us to do, and that's just take over.
Take over.
You just take it over. I did it, and that was the first time. The second time was over in Arkansas, same situation. This one actually looked a little more legit. We had a venue this time. It was an AutoZone, but it was a venue.
AutoZone?
AutoZone like. It wasn't the AutoZone, but it was a body shop.
Like a CarQuest.
Yeah, basically. It was an automotive shop. It's cold as balls in there, but they had their trainer trained people via YouTube clips and stuff.
Oh my
God! We didn't know this.
Oh, man.
We didn't know this, and we see their gear again. One of those misleading things. You can buy good gear. Any idiot,
of course,
can get online and buy
all day
gear.
long.
A million sites.
So I work this dude, and I'm thinking like, all right, it should be pretty simple. He knows his ass from a hole in the ground. He did not. I've never seen anybody trip on their own 2 feet while I'm giving a bulldog to someone. So, again, I just had to take over. And, I was so upset about that, I wanted to just cover him. But, out of respect to the promoters and stuff, a championship was on the line. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to strong arm, take their title, or shoot it, So I did what I was told. And it's always nice when you have somebody that screws up and they own it and they apologize. I'm not mad about that. He was like, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. He goes, I've been sick. I've been kind of skipping out on the gym. I didn't think you were going to be able to go like that. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I came here to work, dude. Like, it took me 3.5 hours to get here.
But on the same token, don't it make you feel good that you could go like that fresh out of school?
Yeah.
That's really says a lot about our school there.
Yes, it does. We've got people all the time on the UW Facebook page and the messages that I've seen a glimpse of it. Dap will show me, and he'll just be like, dude, I've got people every day wanting to come join up and be on our shows.
Yeah.
Other workers, because they see that we're not wrestling in a body shop. We're in a venue. We got the LED lights going. We got the fog machines and all that, and that helps. And so those guys, and they see that we're young and we're green, but we know what the hell we're doing. And they're just like, man, I want in on that one. And so, but again, Dap would prefer to grow his own talent. We're a school also. So, we kind of defeat the purpose of the school if we just booked random guys to fill the card up. Yeah. Also, that's a lot of money in talent fees you got to pay, because, wrestlers.
We don't exactly get rich in this business.
No.
Unless you make it big, but,
No. And that's an interesting thing you brought up there. Is like, a lot of people get hung with the hot dog and a handshake deal.
Yeah.
You wrestle for a handshake, and you can pick $5 or a hot dog from the concession. It's cold and probably not going to have cheese on it.
Soggy bread.
Yeah. It's terrible. So
as they rake it out, we're out of chili.
Yeah. I'm bringing this home to the dogs, but yeah, we out.
Dude, I've seen that. Tell you, like, can I get some of that chili? Nah, we're gonna have that for tomorrow for supper. They're raking it into like a little styrofoam bowl. I'm like, you bitch! I just sweated my ass off.
Yeah, excuse me.
You can't give me just a dab of chili on a hot dog.
I'm kind of like the main point of this event.
Kind of a big deal around.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, man, you're good. So let's go ahead and steer into the. Everybody wants us to talk about it, so we'll do it. The Cliff Rogers and Logan Wade rivalry.
Oh, the feud of the ages.
That was okay. At the time, I was a heel. I was kind of a dick back then.
You were
just a little.
Me and another guy that is also a dick, Jake Fury.
He is.
And he's still a dick. By the way,
he is.
Fury, you listening to this? You're a dick, man.
I can say that because I graduated with it.
Yeah,
okay?
I had to tag team with the guy. That right, and that's a point there. In tag team wrestling, it's not a hey, you want to be a tag team? Sure. No, you gotta have that mental.
Yeah, you got to be on the same page.
We were not.
Y'all were not. I had to intervene every second.
There was a lot of ego going on there.
Keith was our manager, and it looked cool. We even had a cool name with the Brimstone Stallions, and Logan over here was part of the American Warriors. Tell us a little bit about your time as a tag team wrestler, and tell us about your partner.
Well, it was short-lived, but I did have a fantastic time. My partner was the American Ranger, and he's what can I say? He's very talented. He's an older cat. I'm probably one of the few that's ever seen his face. But it can go. Dude,
Ranger is one of those. We've said it before. I said, yeah, he's a luchador, and I say that because he wears a mask. Yeah. And then I stop, and Gatekeeper over here cuts me off, and he says, "That's a big freaking luchador."
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I was like,
but when we got together, he he doesn't speak English very well.
Really?
Yeah. So he was like, Logan, we do this right. We got it. You know how he talks. Anyway, we were like, okay, well, we'll go be a team. He said, no, we're not just a team. Basically, what he was saying, we're going to do this. We're going to take over.
Yeah.
So right from the jump, I had to get in that mentality. I'm like, okay, You know, let's freaking do this.
I remember the night y'all won those belts. It was in
Oh man, that was fun.
Gina, Louisiana. It was against Jake Fury. We've already talked about it. It was Rico Wildley. I'm pretty sure you've seen him come across your feed. That guy stays on social media, but he has like a Joker gimmick. So they, I mean, that's the best way to describe it.
No,
right?
yeah, you're
People
right.
call it every time they see it.
Yeah, they call him Joker. He gets upset, and I'm like, dude, the Joker has been over since 2008.
And your
Like,
colors are literally green and purple.
yeah, like lean into that, man. Heath Ledger,
I was
that
about to say
guy.
Heath Ledger.
If he would have survived the shooting of that movie, he would have so much money in Joker merch.
He'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, dude, do what works. But anyways, they were teamed together. Bizarre Fury was their name. We had the vacated, beautiful red belts. Man, they it reminded me a lot of the TNT title, the Brody Lee version.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Brody Lee.
Yeah, R.I.P. Brody.
Really?
You know, but that's kind of sucks. That was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This time of year.
About the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was working at a local Dollar Tree when I heard the news. I went and took a 10-minute break to go cry in my car.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's weird how you watch it long enough and you feel like you know these guys. you
Yeah.
know,
I
and
mean,
then-
people think I've always been taught. Just like when Eddie Guerrero died,
Oh,
all
dude,
that,
I
man.
bawled.
these guys, they probably don't know me, and that's fine. But I knew them, and they had a huge impact on me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Memories were made there, It's part of those memories go away when that happens. But we had these beautiful red straps. I wrestled the current champion, Eddie Love. It was the number one contenders to decide who was going to advance to the finals. We're not going to talk about the result, but anyway, great. I can honestly say that was one of my first passable good matches. My very first match was against American Ranger,
Yeah,
and he took me to school. I mean, it was
dude,
terrible.
Took
He's
you there,
amazing.
dropped you off.
Yeah, it was all, and GK over here was the ref on that.
Oh man.
He thought I had a concussion 2 or 3 times in that match because, like he said before, American Ranger doesn't flip; he makes you flip.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
He's a flipper.
so you guys come out to Motley Crue, Jumpstart My Heart,
Dude,
or
yeah.
Kickstart My Heart.
He let me pick that out, and I was so thankful for that.
Dude, I was pumped in the back. Like I'm still, the asshole heel, and even me, I'm like, hey man, good song choice.
That's all right, kid.
Yeah, they got in there and they did their thing. It was actually a fan showed us one time. They had made a little edited picture with an app, and it was you and Ranger in the ring together. You're the big super heavyweight. Ranger, of course, is the jacked, USA guy. And then they put that side by side with Paul Orndorff and Andre the Giant when they teamed.
Oh, nice.
And they were comparing, and I was like, dude, that's cool.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, I said that's pretty cool to see that people in this area are taking to it, and like we're becoming their superstars because
Yeah.
these kids that go to the shows, it's not just you have to be there to see it. We have the YouTube channel going. We're on the 365 Wrestling Network. If you have a Roku TV, download it. It's only $1. And if you want to go old school with YouTube, there you go. We have our channel. So you can sit at the house, holidays, you have the fire going. Everybody's got a smart TV now, right? And you just put it on YouTube, put that sucker on full, and you can watch all of our UWE stuff. So, like, that kind of, that almost made me tear up a little bit. And it wasn't even a picture of me. I was just like, that's cool that there's kids in Gina, Louisiana, and let's see, where's some of the other places we've gone? Shreveport, Louisiana, Columbia, that are like, Mama, when are they coming back?
Yeah.
Let me see your phone. I want to watch Rico Wildley. I want to watch Gatekeeper. I want to watch that really sexy cowboy guy. Like, I want to. Okay, maybe they didn't say that.
I don't think they said that. Yeah.
Probably the cowboy guy.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't know anything about that picture. That's crazy. Being
Man.
compared to Andre, that's
and
big, literally big shoes to fill.
well, it sucks being the big super heavyweight, I'm sure. Actually, I kind of want to steer into this now. What are some of the challenges of working as a big super heavyweight? How much? Okay, so you, well, we'll say this: your career was put on pause.
Yes.
But before we get into the talking about being a super heavyweight, your career was put on pause because, of a diagnosis. I'll let you explain that here in a second. But basically what happened, folks, was they won these belts. They're getting ready for their first title defense, and you shoot, life always comes first. So sadly, you had to go be, Mr. Responsible at your day job, and so using the free bird rule, Ranger had to team with someone else, but the titles were still on the line. So the stand-in partner was Groovy King, Eddie Love, the current UW heavyweight champion. Great partner to pick, Oh
yeah.
And we didn't even think Eddie. We thought he was back in California. We didn't even think he was in the state. Yeah. So
surprise.
So his music hits and everybody gets pumped up. Jake Fury's out there. He's upset. So GK's out there as well. He's managing this little crew of guys we got. And Fury gets upset because he had just had a match with Eddie in Texas and thought he took his knee out. So he was like, "What's he doing back here?" and all that. So we had tag team wrestling is kind of like learning how to wrestle all over again. It's 4 guys instead of 2. You really got to pay attention to what's going on. More so, and it's also hard when you've been in there a while and then you finally get that tag out. First thing you want to do is just take you a nice rest. But you can't because you have got to be paying attention. If you're healing, then you've got to draw that ref, distract him. If you're baby facing, you've got to make sure they're not doing that so that you can go, "Hey, ref, whoa, dude." And so anyway, we got through the match. We ended up getting the win, and that was my first title run. And that was awesome, and I enjoyed it. And so Logan Wade over here, rightfully so, gets a little upset that he was like, "Hey man, I wasn't even there." And I lost.
What happened was you got on Facebook bragging about how you kicked our butts. I was like, I wasn't even there.
Okay, well, I was more so talking to Ranger. Okay.
Yeah, but
you were kind of just in there.
We were the team, though.
Yeah, guilty by association. Yeah. So yeah, I had a little too much fun with that belt. I was posting shirtless pictures all over Facebook with that thing
on.
on.
Tractor, I remember all.
Oh yeah, hanging out on the tractor. Wasn't even my tractor. It's a crazy thing.
Just fuel on the fire, dude. Like every time I see you post something, I was like, God, I hate this guy.
Yeah, I went there. I called out the gentleman's weight, and
He did.
But
this
then
cold-blooded.
You can't even be mad about it because you got some fans in Xena to start making Brokeback Mountain posters with me and Fury's face on them.
I don't apologize for that.
Well, whoever did it, I couldn't even be that mad because they took time. They actually
faded it in.
It actually looked like a movie poster.
I was
really
like,
did.
I can't even be mad at this. You guys spent
creative,
15 minutes working on this. So this feud's building. Dapper Dan is also the head booker. He comes to Logan first. Again, at the time, me and him got along pretty well because I was a heel. So he comes to me as well, and he goes, "Well, I hope you're ready to write that check that you just cashed." I'm like, "Why?" And he goes, "I'm putting you with the big man." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." And then I'm, of course, thinking, all right, what's the strategy?
It's amazing that you two are like sitting here, laughing, talking, because I was there during the brawl that got uploaded on Facebook.
Yeah.
Was right there in y'all's face.
We did do that, man.
You did.
I do want to. I want to come.
Who come out on top of that? Yeah, it was me, right? Yeah.
Like I say, it's amazing. I got you two are right here, and I'm just.
Well, we I think we both had to have a little bit of humble pie since then.
Yes.
Yeah. We've all had that.
I do want to say we apologize to the ARC Center in Alexandria.
Definitely
we
apologize.
destroyed that locker room.
He got a little crazy.
We were literally just there for an autograph signing, and it's a bunch of mentally challenged adults, and it's a great program. It's a great thing. It's
a lot of great people. Yeah,
gives them a place to live if they need it, and it's also teaches these people that, like, hey, y'all are not really handicapped. Y'all can do this. And it teaches them job skills, life skills.
It's a great program.
Every month they do something special, and they asked them what they would want to see, and they all loved wrestling. They were like, we want to meet wrestlers. So that's what we did. We went out there and shook hands, kissed foreheads, all that stuff. And then after they got escorted out of the gym to go back to their activities, that's when we were like, what'd you say to me? And
well, I was in the closet
Those poor people didn't know.
minding my
what was
business.
Yeah, then I decided, you know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go have some fun here, and yeah, I got a shiner out of it. So, well, then the match gets made official, and then that's when the big C showed up. So, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so during our little stint there, it was a good 2 months. It was a little. We had a little bit of longevity there. It was going to be a huge match, man. I had every intentions on being there, and what a lot of people don't know is, I was battling health problems probably for the last 5 years, and I just. Being a man, you don't want to just, you don't want to own up to that. You want to push that aside. I'll deal with that later, Like a man, you catch a cold, you don't stop working, you just suck it up and go on. Well, for my incidents, it was a little bit different. I just kept pushing off things that, I know now, I definitely know now that, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I was having trouble, with bathroom problems. I'll just say that.
It was really hard to train with him during that time. He had to keep getting out of the ring. Dap, open the bathroom.
Yeah, I gotta go. But and without going into just crazy details, a lot of those times I was just going to pass blood.
Yeah.
And it was that bad. And I was ignoring that like a fool.
Yeah. It's just a little blood.
Yeah, no big deal. But it got to the point where it was too much. I finally went to the doctor, and they ran some blood work, and they were like, something's not right. So they set me up. At first they were like, you got something wrong here, but it could be this. And it was something so simple that little. If I had to have a surgery, a little day surgery would have took care of it. But they went ahead and was like, look, we're going to set you up for colonoscopy. If there's anything in there, then they'll take care of it. You'll be home a few days. You'll be back to your normal self. Cool. All right. Well, our match was still a go.
Yeah.
I had no intentions of canceling anything.
It was actually one of those things he didn't even, it wasn't even a big enough deal to tell anybody.
Yeah, no, I didn't even bring it up. Yeah.
It was like going to, get a Band-Aid or something. It was like, okay, you're going to the hospital. Cool. So none of the UWE family knew anything about that.
No, and, man, it really broke my heart that I had to tell everybody the way I did. But
I remember the day because we were doing, I think we were doing promos for the center show because they were going to show us all do single little video package while the people were waiting in Texas. And
which, by the way, we learned why that's a bad idea. The card got changed, and none of those promos were relevant anymore.
That's why I didn't mention any names or anything on mine. But everybody did theirs, and I wasn't in the building. And Dap comes out to me. I'm in my car just sitting there. I'm actually taking my boots off because it hit home a little bit too much. Yeah, and I told Dap, I was like, I just can't believe it. And he's like, he's going to be all right. I said, well, I know, but I just couldn't. So I told him, I said, I'll do my promo tomorrow, which I did. I went up there by myself and just cut my little short promo. And I remember I even told my mom, I was like, she's like, how I was training. And I said, well, I didn't do much. I said, and I told her about it. And I just went in my room, I sat down and just thought about it. The next day, I was like, why am I so upset about it? I said, he's fixing to kick its ass. So, and that's just the way I had to look at it. I had to look at it the way I looked at it. I'm going to kick its ass. It's all right.
It kicked my ass for a minute.
Yeah.
It did that. But I know it hits home for you. You've been there and done that. You've overcome it. So, and you are a huge inspiration. You really are. Like, even when I was down, I've been down. I've been up, down, looking up. Think about who's been in my shoes and has overcome it. I can do the same. So that really helped me out a lot. But anyway, so long story short, I went in to have the colonoscopy, and they decided last minute to do an upper GI also. So it was like a total change of plans. They'd seen something else in the blood work that I'd done that morning. And so, you know how if you've ever had an operation, you know, like you go under anesthesia.
Mm.
You know, for me, I've had a few surgeries in my life. I've never been, you know, the safest of people. You know, but you know, you can tell when you had that good sleep. You know, anesthesia puts you down.
Oh yeah.
But what literally felt like a blink of an eye, I was coming back.
Really?
And I just remembered, I was like, that was fast. Like, that was, you know, something, that was just weird.
Yeah.
And there's a funny part to the story I probably shouldn't say, but, you know, they give you the mix you got to drink, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So first off, that's drinking hot trash water right there.
Oh.
Man, it's horrible.
Cleans you out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it does something.
So they roll me back to my room, and first thing I see is I'm groggy, but I see my wife crying.
Mm,
So that was the first red flag.
that's not good.
So I was like, okay. And then they told me, it's very common, you have a colonoscopy. Well, they do. They shoot carbon dioxide in you to expand your colon.
In the butthole.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know it
I
either.
learned something today.
You learned something. So what it does, because your colon's not just open, you know, it's collapsed.
Okay.
And it moves like a worm,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
okay.
That's how you pass your stool. Anyway, I had to learn a lot here.
The more
okay?
you know, folks.
The more you know. So anyway, so they shoot that in you, and it expands your colon so they can run the camera up there. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. They told me, you know, you're going to want to pass gas, like monstrous gas.
Septic.
Yeah. So I'm like, I immediately get this pain in my gut, like, oh, God. And the nurse like, just let it go. I said, no, ma'am, I got to shit. yeah, I got to go.
I'm just
No,
gonna
just let it out, ma'am. If you don't let me, you got to get me out of this bed. I got to go to that toilet over yonder. And let's just say, thank God we got to the toilet, because it was just what I thought it was.
Oh,
Trust your body, people.
Yeah.
for real.
Damn.
But anyway, that was my little funny story there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, I mean, you saved that woman's life that day.
Yeah, because the way she said it was going to like echo the walls. I'm like, yeah, you'd have been cleaning up in aisle 3.
Yeah.
But
Damn. Gumming.
anyway,
Son.
I apologize for you younger viewers out there
Oh no! Hey man,
putting
they need a
pictures
little
in
bit
your
of
head. But
They need to see what the world's like. Oh boy!
But anyway, so they helped me back to the bed and getting comfortable out. My wife's just poor thing, love her to death. She's just really tore up. And I'm like, what is it? You know, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, the doctors are going to come and tell you. I'm like, no, I want you to tell me what's going on. And she just couldn't form the words.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and looking back, I can see why. You know, that's just got to be devastating. So, a little while later, you know, once the nurse went, told the doctor that I was alert, you know, I was well awake, and he come in, and then he came in with another doctor, and pulled out a chart. And they were like, you know, this is what cancer looks like. And they went from stage 1 all the way to stage 4. And it was like, this is what we saw.
Oh.
And when they went in there, technology is a long way. While they're in you, they're able to take pictures of what the things that they find, right? My tumor that was in my colon was the size of a baseball.
Oh my God.
And they literally were like, if you'd have lived with this probably another month, you wouldn't have been able to pass anything. You'd have turned toxic and died.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, kind of crazy now thinking about it. But, I mean, it hit me like a rock.
Yeah.
You know, stage 4 cancer,
Yeah.
colon cancer. You
And
know,
the
this is
last thing on your mind was wrestling.
well, the last thing I thought was I didn't, and I went in there just to get a, like you said, like a Band-Aid, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, "This is what's going to happen. You're not leaving the hospital. You're having emergency surgery in the morning. We got to remove that blockage." And so immediately, my first instinct is like, because I got a day job too, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, my boss only let me off today to go do this, right?
Mm.
So I got my wife to call my boss, tell her, look, this is something, I'm not going to be there. Then I thought about DAP. I was like, Chrissy, you got to call DAP.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what DAP? And I said, no, you got to call DAP now.
Yeah.
I said, because we got things planned.
Yeah.
So she called DAP. She said that he didn't say much. He just, he was
Like, okay.
obviously
Okay.
tore up about it, So next morning, drank some more of that nasty juice,
Oh boy.
and they removed 10 inches of colon. And then when they put me back together, they went back in to see if it had spread, and it did. It had spread to the right side of my liver. Damn. And what they could only explain it as multiple microtumors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how like acne is?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Think of like that on your liver.
Oh.
It was just covered.
Mm. And that from what I understand, I mean, yeah, you used to knock a few back, but like you weren't never really a heavy drinker.
No. I if you said you wanted to get together and have drinks, I would.
Yeah.
I didn't just drink.
Yeah.
I've seen what that does to people, and I'm not knocking anybody that does. Okay, I grew up around a few alcoholics in my life, and I just never was, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would drink, but I never drank heavy.
Yeah.
I've been drunk before, of course, but
Who hasn't?
I've never been just that guy to go
Yeah.
kick it down just to do it.
Well, that's kind of what really scared me is just how it literally just came out and bit you, because I knew enough about you to know that yeah, like I've seen pictures of you with like a drink in your hand, but like I didn't hear like you weren't the big, let's get wasted kind of guy.
No.
So
9 times out of 10, when we went out to drink, I was the one driving everybody home.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's got me. I was like, dude, this guy don't even drink that much. Like that, he's got something that you hear tumors all over your liver. Like, well, I should have told him. Like, no, like that wasn't even it. Like he. Yeah. So I was just like, dude, like, is anybody really safe out there? I mean, like, you're not. But anyway, so we go into Center, Texas off of that. That was a weird vibe, man.
Yeah,
that was
it
a weird because
weird show.
we had
A
people.
good one, but it was weird. It was something
We had a few outsiders come in, just like the business is. You because at the end of the day, we keep saying it's a brotherhood and all that, and it can be if you want it to be. But a lot of times it's just a group of guys that are there to compete. So
That's it, yeah.
So we had a lot of guys in there that were ready to go. But the few of us, your friends like Gatekeeper, Rick Wildley, they were. Oh man, like a different world for a minute. And then even me, I hadn't known you that long, really didn't like you at the time, and even I was just like, God, this is creepy. So we got in there and did the show, and then I will say the next UWE show after that was in July 2nd. Yeah, it was in Columbia, Louisiana, and that is where me and Jake Fury dropped those ties. We lost that night. I said he's a dick. He was. He gave me the double bird, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and just walked out on me. So I took, not happy to watch the clip, but man, it was a pretty finish. I mean, what's his name? Austin Andrews gets behind me, hits that big zigzag cutter, and 1, 2, 3, and plus that's his hometown. So if anything, it sucked on my end, but I was just like, hometown guy. There you go. Well, as torn up as I was about what had happened to me in that match just then, I looked and I noticed that you had made your first appearance since the diagnosis, and that was cool to see. Yeah. And guys, he had lost a lot of weight. It was like, oh my God, is that Logan? And
Yeah, dude. So when they, I know the graphic scene here, when they removed the blockage, you can just imagine what was backed up.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So that I lost. I spent a week in the hospital. I don't recall going or doing anything at the hospital. When I got home, they gave me medicine to do that. Like a week and a half, I lost 25 pounds.
oh man,
You know, and
ah,
I know this is a graphic sight, but think about it, dude. I was carrying that,
Yeah.
probably more.
yeah. And well, it doesn't help that before you knew about what it was. I mean, imagine taking bumps, hitting the ropes, wrestling.
Everything hurt.
with
Everything
just,
hurt.
Your stomach is just about to bust. And
Yeah.
I could. I mean, dude.
Taking frog splashes from Millennial Mike. What if I'd have busted a gut in the ring?
Oh,
Yeah.
right in front of me. Good God, I would have never climbed into another ring again.
Folks, if you get on the social media on Facebook, YouTube, all that, and you start looking at some UWE stuff, look for Millennial Mike. He's a big old boy too. I mean, he's
a hoss.
you guys were actually the first main event. He was using a different gimmick, but it was you two at the Mayhem at the Gym Show, that one I tried out at, and y'all were the first main eventers. And man, I was pumped to see that. I was like, oh, we got a hoss fight, baby. Yeah. We got 2 350-pounders in there. But
me and Gatekeeper were actually talking about that on the
we
way
were
up here.
Yeah, we were actually talking about it on the step out there.
I'm really surprised. A little fun fact about the inside of pro wrestling: most rings don't have a spring in them like you think. It's literally it's wood planks. It's metal support beams underneath those wood planks. So you basically build a wood deck on top of these metal bracers, and that right there is what gives you the give, because those metal bracers are going to give a little bit, but not much. And then there's like maybe a little half-ass padding that goes on top of that wood. Back in the day, they just used carpet, so it's not good and soft. Like it is definitely not fake. It is choreographed, sure, it's not fake. So. So I thought, when you do have a big super heavyweight or 2 big super heavyweights, you have a black, almost like a hydraulic spring that you'd see on like a truck, like a big, huge spring, and that goes in the center, and that gives you some extra support, some extra padding. They didn't put a spring on the ring that night. I'm just really surprised y'all didn't Brock Lesnar it and just.
I don't think we started using the spring until like the first unit show, maybe.
Oh, it was just recent.
It was
we had
recent.
to put the spring in because I mentioned Bayou Independent, great promotion. Well, they have a lot of good talent, and one of their really talented. Yeah, he makes you look like a cruiserweight, Logan.
You're talking about Camacho.
Angel Camacho.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
That man's massive. And Dapper Dan sees the poster for the show he's leasing the ring out to, and he goes, "Oh no, he ain't tearing my ring." so he built the spring. So Angel Camacho, if you ever hear this, sir, you are the reason our ring is the way it is now. And if anything, it made it better. I like it that way.
I do too.
Yeah,
I love it.
I haven't bumped in it, but yeah, I'm just imagine it's a lot better.
It's great.
Well, that night in Columbia, Louisiana, I'm walking back to the locker room. People's booing the crap out of me. I'm the heel, and it didn't really, that was what you call a face turn. That's when I started turning over because, I got screwed over. I'm walking, and I stop, and I break character for just a minute, and I had to shake your hand. I had to, because I didn't, when you hear the big scary sentence of stage 4 liver cancer, I've had a lot of family members with different cancers, and my mom works in the medical field, and so stage 4 is the big one. And so, man, it is as cheesy as it might sound. I wasn't 100% sure if I was ever going to see you again.
Well, neither were the doctors, man. My first doctor visit after I had the surgery, and they cut me like 7 different places on my abdomen. And it was deep, so I had to wait for that to heal, and I was so sore. And I remember going to the doctor. I hadn't yet seen an oncologist, which is a cancer doctor. I hadn't yet seen one of those. But I went to the surgeon, and I was like, so now you're thinking, okay, I need some answers. Like, dude, am I dying in a month? Like, you know, what's. So he sat down with us and he's like, I'm going to tell you this. But, you know, he's like, cancer is not what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, it mutates.
He said, we have the upper hand. He said, stage 4 doesn't mean shit anymore. And he
Okay.
said it just like that. So that was my first little glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
He said, Mr. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're going to die in a month. I'm not going to give you any kind of time limit. He said, I'm not going to say you're going to die in 2-3 months, 10 years from now. He said, look at it as you still have the rest of your life today.
Yeah.
So that made me feel a little bit better,
Yeah.
you know. And once I seen the oncologists, which I have a great oncologist, Dr. Dewan at MD Clinics, great guy. He's a little foreign guy. He's kind of hard to understand sometimes, but
Oh, it's refreshing.
let me tell you, though, the greatest staff and attitude you can ask for. I went in depressed, come out feeling like a new glove.
Yeah.
You know, they really, like, I ain't gonna lie, I broke down crying.
Yeah.
You know, you're fixing to die. You might die. You know.
Yeah.
So they just hugged me and embraced it and was
Yeah.
like, you're not gonna die. We're not gonna let you die.
Yeah.
You're 30 years old, for the most part healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna let you die.
And of course, your wrestling family, you know, we kind of did the same in the sense of the ones of us that reached out and all that. We were just like, man, like, we know what you want to do. And as soon as you get better, dude, just relax. And basically, we said, we were like, man, you've got kids, you've got a wife, that comes first.
Yeah,
So
I definitely tried to rush it, man. I'm not gonna lie, I did. I wanted it to just be done and over with. You know, I even ran through the options like, can y'all just cut it out?
yeah,
You know, can
can we just pull it off?
can I lose a finger here? What do I have to do?
You got a colon laying back there somewhere?
Yeah. So they were like, because it's so, like I said, think of like, if you ever had back acne, like think of it like that. It's just all over. We never know if we got enough of it without saving enough healthy tissue.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So we started doing chemo, and chemo's a monster. It just truly is. But the technology has advanced so much.
Yeah.
It's not what it was. And Dr. Raza, the guy who done my surgery, he's so right. You know, we're science is taking strides out of cancer, and I'm just blessed to be on the positive end of that.
Yeah. Yeah, chemotherapy is one of those things that's come a long way. My grandmother had lung cancer and passed back in, I was 6 years old, so that would have probably been 2001. Yeah, and I remember real vaguely like going to see her the last couple times. She was at the house at that point, but pretty much hospice, and she had this network of IVs running through her, and that's how you administered it back then. Now they've got it so much more precise where you actually, it's pretty funny, I'm going to bring this up here. They put a port in your chest. I mean, both of you guys know, and that's a direct line. That goes, that chemo is going straight into the artery, so you're not just putting it in the blood system and letting it kill you and hoping it's going to circulate to that cancer. It's going right into the main valve.
Yeah. Well, no, so the type of chemo that I have is called a targeted chemo.
Mm-hmm.
So they have target chemos now where if you have, I'm just throwing out heart cancer, that chemo goes straight to your heart.
Yeah.
Mine goes straight to my liver.
Yeah.
If you have bladder cancer, they have chemo that'll travel to your bladder. It won't activate until it hits your bladder.
And that's incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because,
Insane.
watching my grandmother have it, and everybody back in the early 2000s, late 90s, all that had it, was they were withering away. And you'd have these people that were like, if this was 2001, dude, you would probably be maybe $180 right now.
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned your grandmother in 1998. My grandmother died of stage 4 colon cancer. Same thing that I had.
Oh boy!
So I'm thinking,
And
I'll see you soon, Granny.
Yeah. But then you start comparing the notes and seeing what she went through and what you went through, and you're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, they had the Nokia. We're over here on the iPhone 14 taking it out.
Yeah, dude.
But I tell you, it's funny I bring up the port because GK. I mean, like we've already mentioned, you were coming out of cancer when you started. You were kind of on that ass end of cancer when you got in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for like a month, Dap didn't know I had a medical port.
He
in
had
my
a
chest.
port.
Yeah. He didn't tell nobody. He didn't tell.
I told him I had health issues, and whatever, so I wanted to be a ref. But one day, my class was just short enough with X and JT Hanley. So it was just 3 of us. So, you got class 2, and you don't have many students to teach wrestling to. And, meanwhile, I'm getting trained for ref. So I'm trying to sneak my way into the wrestling, and I am. They're beating me up and such, and I'm loving it. But all of a sudden, I told them, I was like, hey, I said, just the point, and I made no big deal out of it. I was like, hey, I got a medical port in my chest, just kind of watch,
You've got a what?
What the hell is that?
And, Dab's like, a port? What? And I explained to everybody, yes, I'm taking chemo and stuff, so I got, and everyone's looking at me like, why are you here?
We've been throwing this guy around
the last thing you
ring.
need to be doing is professional wrestling.
Everybody in the room, I don't care what gimmick you have, we all felt like heels. We were like, what have we been doing to this poor man? So,
and the thing is, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but it is something, that y'all needed to know,
It's dangerous.
But it is dangerous, but it was just like one of those, hey, no big deal, just watch out. All right, let's get back to kicking ass.
for all you people out there that are thinking, man, if I was just 16 again, I'd try wrestling and all that. Gatekeeper over here, he was driving to Shreveport, Louisiana from, at the time you lived in Jena, Louisiana. So that was, you're looking at a good 2.5 hours there, depending on traffic. And luckily it's interstate driving. But anyways, he would go to Shreveport and get that chemo pumped into that medical port and then come back. And if he had enough gas in the tank, I've never been through chemo, but I can only imagine. If he had enough gas, he'd come in there and train, go outside, puke real quick, come back, and we're just like, oh, my God.
Actually, he put a stop to that.
Yeah.
Because I told him one day, I was like, I think actually Logan was there with him, and I was like, hey, Dap, I said, I got chemo tomorrow in Shreveport. I said, I'm going to try to make it back. So he stopped me right there. It was like, hold your horses, Chief. And,
Wait a minute.
And he's like, just go home. He said, get some rest. He said, come back the next day. He said, if you feel up to it. So, it worked out, and he wouldn't. And like I say, we were talking about him a while ago. He looks like just an asshole from hell, but he really ain't. He's like
he can be.
He can be. I mean, like anybody else, he can be, but he has got a heart of gold.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably going to find me after he listens to this and be like,
Why'd you
Stop.
tell everybody that? Stop.
Hey, y'all need to quit that.
yeah.
Just shut the podcast down.
Yeah.
It was really,
You know what?
it was really funny though, because doing these, you were talking about how we had class 1, class 2. Well, as class 3 was approaching, I'm getting into the wrestling part, but I'm still, paying my dues as a ref, and I mean tuition dues.
Yeah.
And so he takes me after training one day. He's like, look, he's like, you got to pick one of the other. He said, you're paying for referee tuition. He said, you can't be, doing all this, getting all this advanced wrestling. And I said, okay. I said, well, hey, I said, just add it to it. I'm going to start paying it.
Yeah.
And I did, and I paid it, pretty, quick. I said, I want this. I said, money is no, I'll pay for another year if that's what, I need to do.
And it was so incredible to see your journey in that, because when I started with the UWE and let's make it sound like I've been doing it a lot longer than I have. When I started pro wrestling in general,
Back in your day.
back in my day, you see, this
Walk
guy
uphill in the snow. Go to
Back
school.
in the Gap.
GK was a heck of a ref. He refereed my first match, my first couple of matches actually, and then he transitions. He gets him a singlet and all that. And man, at first he was just so fragile, and we understood. We were like, I mean, the guy literally just got done
he
getting
beat the worst thing you can beat.
Yeah, twice actually. So we were just like, okay, so it's understandable. We know, but at the end of the day, like, man, the crowd, they don't know.
Right.
And to spare you embarrassment and to spare everybody, we didn't want to put you out there unless we knew you were physically able to do it. So Dapper Dan takes him under his wing. They get him a gym membership. He swole that dude up. And then fast forward, dude, not even like a year. Like, and it's crazy. It feels like we've been doing this for so long.
It really
But
does.
especially when you start hitting the road, like we were talking earlier, and going to different federations, man, there was been a time like 3 weekends in a row we just lived in the car, just driving. So it makes it seem longer, but not even a year later, in last August, August 27th, 2022, me and you had, might I say, a great one-on-one little grudge match
Little
there.
slobber knocker.
It was a slobber knocker, and then and if you watch that match, folks, you can find it on the YouTube. It's UW Wrestling for Wreaths is the name of the event. It's in our videos. Cowboy Cliff versus Gatekeeper. Still one of my favorite matches. But man, if you watch that match and then you go back and watch you reffing at what was it, September 11th, 2020 or 2021. So just about a year or a couple months before that, dude, you're a different person. I mean, like you were a little tiny guy with pink hair, and it's still pink, but now it's a hawk. Now it's a mohawk.
A mullet hawk.
A mullet hawk.
God damn it, yeah.
And it's really cool to see guys transition, and that's kind of the beauty of indie wrestling right there. You find you some guys you like, and you look them up on YouTube. You start following their pages, and then turn around 3 or 4 years, you're watching that same guy on AEW Dark, and you're just like, dude, I remember when he was wrestling at the bingo hall in front of 6 people.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he's gotten so much bigger since then. Like, so that's pretty cool to kind of track people's progress like that, man.
It's really cool now because I'm off braces. If you go back, first match back in Seguin, Texas, I faced Austin Andrews again. And first match without my braces, I felt like somebody had just, unlocked shackles and just threw them away. And
It was
said,
like the
"Okay, go."
scene and
Like a Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told. I forgot who I was talking to. Now, I felt like Forrest Gump. As I felt like when he was running.
Yeah, for a while there, GK, when you're working a match with him, you had to just understand the dude can't run. Like, for the longest, you'd go to shoot him off and, bounce off the rope, hit a clothesline. He's going to walk it. And you know what? I thought that was so cool and funny because one of the legendary territory stars back in the day, one of the most feared names in Texas, Black Bart. I've had we both have. We've had the honor of meeting him. He came to our Wrestling for Wreath show. He, really complimented me. It meant a lot. But anyway, if you go back and watch Bart, he never ran, ever. You try to, even when he's like young and
Bart doesn't look like he ran at all.
no,
Yeah.
grab that forearm. And Dapper Dan told us, he goes, one time he's working him and he grabs him and goes to shoot him off the rope. He hooks the top rope with his arm and then the bottom rope with his ankle, and he goes, no, we are not doing all of that crap. And it was just like, what are you going to do? So, of course, wrestling match is essentially a fight, so they kept duking it out, But I thought that was so great.
I could see Bart doing that.
Yeah, it's like, anybody that's ever watched wrestling, you see a guy leaned up against the top rope, and then the other guy grabs him, and you're like, oh, hey, he's going to slingshot him off the rope. And then just like, hold on, wait a minute. Nope, we ain't doing that stupid crap, boy. Well, Logan, what's on the menu next, man? What are we? I know that right now you're doing very well with your cancer progress. I don't think we're quite in remission yet, but we're getting there.
Well, actually, breaking news: we are in remission.
Whoa! Look
Awesome.
at that. Hey,
Yeah.
it just got announced
Hell
on the
yeah.
podcast. Logan Wade is in remission. All right, so what's the plan, babe? When are we gonna get back in there?
Well, I got a little ways to go. I'm still doing chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I, as of right now, I only have 3 major treatments left.
Okay.
We're going to do another scan, and if everything goes well with that scan, the last scan, the one that put me in remission, was phenomenal.
Mm.
So we're expecting same, if not better, results.
Yeah.
This new one. I do another scan at the end of January, and it just depends. They said something about I may have to do minor therapy, which is be like once a month, once every other month. Just to kind of make sure it's all gone.
Yeah.
So as far as a comeback, I don't have a date. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to tell you guys I'd be back in 2023. I am doing something in 2023. I may not make it a comeback, but I am having a match, by God, before 2023 is over.
Well, Logan Wade, if you watch our stuff on YouTube.
I watch everybody's stuff.
Well, speaking to the viewers here,
Okay.
sir. If you actually get on YouTube and watch some UWE stuff, our more recent shows, like I think, you didn't make the Seguin one, but the 2 before that, he's been showing up as a commentator, and man, you don't know how important it is to have a commentator that knows what the hell's going on in that ring and knows who's who and where they're from. So you really bailed us out there. I mean, we had some sweet guys that were doing the best they could, and the effort was there. But the results were not.
Well, thank you.
We had this guy that would just kind of mumble and go through the PA. Logan Wade starts to help. So, you are still very much a part of UWE. You don't understand, man. What do we call it? An advocate. Yeah, he's the official advocate of the company. He does the media tours, the radio tours. When we get ready to do a show, he's the one speaking on it. So, you definitely pulled a lot of weight while you've been away. As far as a comeback goes, let's go ahead right now. Let's set a goal, man. We're already looking that, the powers that be, our biggest show, our WrestleMania, if you will, was Wrestling for Wreaths, which was a huge event. That the money towards that, of course, we had to profit a little bit, but most of the money went towards wreaths across America. And actually, just like 2 weeks ago, we actually got to see those wreaths. They came in. We went and put them on the graves.
That was such a great time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was
very special.
That was awesome. So that is our WrestleMania. That was our biggest show. We had 1,000 people at that one. And the Wreaths Across America people are just pumped, ready to do it again. So that's obviously going to be our big spotlight event every year is UWE Wrestling for Wreaths 2, 3, 4. So let's set a goal. Let's talk to the doctors. Let's be smart about it. But I'm thinking August 2023, Wrestling for Wreaths 2. We're going to do it right now. Cowboy Cliff Rogers, American Workhorse Logan Wade. We're finally going to have that match. And I think it needs to happen at Wrestling for Wreaths 2. And we're going to try to get 2,000 people this time.
Dapper Dan, if you're listening, book it.
Yeah,
Book it.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Actually,
book it.
We're not going to tear up a broom closet this
No, we're
time.
not going to tear anything up. We may tear each other up. We're not going to tear up.
Yeah.
No, seriously, that I think by August, that's reasonable. I may not have my port out, but
I've worked a guy with a port. It's
yeah,
happened.
you've been there, done that. No, I think I think August is. I'd like to say I'll be back before then. I may just do that, but definitely my mental goal. I was already thinking Wrestling for Reese was going to be. I was going to do something. I'm not sitting at that commentator. I like the commentating table. I enjoy doing that, But I belong in that ring.
Yeah.
I belong between those ropes.
Yeah.
And
You kind of feel like a bad kid, and you got to sit out at recess.
like it being punished.
Yeah, like he's sitting there watching.
I mean, hell, having cancer is a punishment.
Yeah, pretty much.
But book it, Dap, book it.
Yes.
I would gladly do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are healthy and ready to go, I'll bring it, and we'll do that. And
But you're gonna have to bring it,
Oh, I know.
Cliff. You're gonna. I'm telling you, look at me in the eye.
Oh, I'm looking at you.
You're gonna have to bring it, son.
I'm gonna
right,
because
good.
while you've been sick and everything, I've been
I know.
stepping my game
Been
and
flexing your muscles, riding Corvettes. I know.
well, I'm a Cadillac guy, but
White Cadillac.
I will say real quick before we go, when I was in Seguin, was that 2 weeks ago? Again, they're all running together. It was December 10th, 2022. Seguin, Texas. I'm working the demigod X Storms, the guy we talked about earlier. He's and really don't like the dude. You know, he's a jerk. He's very entitled, but I will say this: the kid can wrestle. He is a kid. He's very young. He's only 21.
Good athlete, but he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick. But you know what? Sometimes you have to be a dick to make people notice you. And I'm telling you, listeners, right now, within the next 3 years, you will be seeing X Storms or X Storms with a different name on your television sets.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, no offense, I love it, but I'm not talking about the Roku streaming app. I'm talking TNT, USA Network.
Yeah.
The kid's going to go somewhere soon.
Yes, he is.
So I was working this kid in Texas, and, man, he brought it. And he's working my leg. I had a bad knee. He's working the crap out of it. And then that adrenaline surge hit, first of all, he puts my hat on, and I'm like, all right, this knee's going to have to just live with it. I'm getting him. So he comes to kick me in the face. I catch it. I scoop him up. And I remember the last thing you were working on before you got sick was you were trying to perfect the power bomb, because that was going to be the new Logan Wade finish. Yeah. Sadly, in Louisiana, that's a banned move, but anytime we go to Texas or anything like that, that was going to be all you. We're in Texas. I scoop him up. I run. I get a good running start, the Jushin Liger style. I jump. And as he's coming down and he's about level with my legs and we're about to hit, I thought for just a minute, I'm like, oh, Logan's going to hate me.
Yeah.
I took his move. But, you know, I thought about you in midair. I was like, it's a cool little tribute. The move he's always wanted to hit, and I'd never hit one. And I was like, my first power bomb, and I'm like, oh, man. I said, he's either going to love this or be so pissed off at me. And then, bam.
Well, the power bomb is like, if you don't hit just right, same time, you're going to screw somebody up or screw yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that force, what people don't understand is when you sit out with it, that's actually making it worse, because now you're not just falling. You've got all 200 pounds of me on top of you coming down with you. So thing is if you do it right, it hurts. If you do it wrong,
it hurts.
it hurts a little worse. If you do it very wrong, someone's probably going to die. Yeah. So, you know, it's a real, I mean, look at Draws.
Yeah,
you know,
just say Draws.
Drozdov. He Dad Young, you know, this is one of the reasons why Dapper Dan really doesn't like us wrestling in shirts. Singlets, yeah. Shirts, no. Because D'Lo Brown, his gimmick at the time, he had this really cool belt buckle. That tank top got hooked on that belt buckle. He couldn't rotate all the way. He spiked him right on his head. He's a quadriplegic now. Well, actually, now he can use his arms. Yeah. But, and, you know, he had a great second act as a WWE writer. And he did it all from his little Stephen Hawkins voice box thing, because he couldn't use his hands much. And you know, he came out on the winning side of that. But that just shows you the power bomb is not something you know what I think we're going to do today? You know, it's like you got to know what you're doing. Man, now you've got to go explain.
Why I've waited so long to pull it out, man, because, like, the thought of hurting somebody. You know, obviously, wrestling isn't ballet. You're going to hurt somebody, but paralyzing them, ending their career, killing them. That's a little far. Not on my repertoire.
No, I've actually I'd seen you hit it a few times on in just training videos that would be posted on the school page and all that, and I saw it. And at the time, I was still heel, and we were feuding. And I was like, okay, that's what he's got for me. All right.
Well, it's funny you bring it up, and we're telling Dap to book this match, and you know, I've had nothing but time on my hand. I have a big flat screen TV in my living room. I don't even let my wife watch Young and the Restless and General Hospital and all those shows. It's wrestling. It's old Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. It's old Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat. It's good stuff. And I've been learning. I've been paying, you know. You can learn wrestling through videos. That doesn't take the place of a school. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
But if you've been to a school, in my situation, I have a few more things in my arsenal now, and I think, and I have a notebook, man. Just
could we possibly see the 300+ pound Hurricane Rana?
Ooh,
I mean, it is available.
it is available.
I've
Folks,
done it.
folks, I wish
Yeah,
there was a
you have.
surviving video of that.
It
you
is.
know?
I have it.
I have it
Okay,
still.
cool. Well, we might have to get that posted on the
That
internet
was
or
when I
something.
dislocated my shoulder.
Yeah, that minor day surgery he was talking about. That's what that was.
But he's still
And-
proud of it.
And the guy he
I'm
hit it
proud of
on,
But
it
you
would
should
make
be,
no
though.
sense in a show the guy you hit it on.
I will
because
say he was the only one brave enough to let me do it.
he
though.
was brave, but he was like 100 pounds soaking wet. And at one point, he had 350 pounds of ass sitting on sitting on his shoulder. And so we go to the guy.
just for a second.
You know, I'm not going to embarrass him anymore. But I'll leave him nameless. But we were like, "Bro, you okay?" And he goes, "What just happened?" And we were like, "This is what happened." And he was like, "Holy crap, that was cool." And but then that's like you said earlier. You've never been the safest individual as far as working somebody. It's a great worker.
I'm gonna
Safe-
take care of people.
Safe worker.
Myself, not so much.
Yeah, that's kind of when DAP had to come to you and be like, "You do know that you're supposed to be doing like big
Yeah,
boots
you're not a high flyer.
and
What are you
chops like Andre the Giant, really animated. Get the chest and
doing? Yeah, we didn't really get into it like we were going to earlier. Like you asked me what did DAP say about being a big man and things like that. I really had to eat a piece of humble pie. I had to. I wanted to be that Chris Benoit that just man who could do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be jumping off the top rope, doing a 450 splash, or
Yeah.
I'd like to think I could,
Right.
and you're not going to tell me I can't.
Yeah.
I probably could break my neck in the process, but by God, you're not going to tell me I can't.
Well, that's
do it,
like Andre the Giant in his early days. He was, Andre had giantism, and he had giantism in the 70s back when medical technology was.
They didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Well, all they knew was, hey, man, you're just really freaking big.
Big old
Yeah. Like, they knew that there was something going on with the pituitary gland and the growth hormone, but that's about all. And, in the 70s, we didn't have little cameras and stuff that we could insert in one's rectum. So
I still have my picture, by the way.
So
Frank.
old Andre, when he was younger, before it started turning into like full blown arthritis, he was very agile for a 8 foot tall, 500-pound man. And they said promoters used to get so pissed because he would run the risk of breaking the ring because he
Yeah.
would get on the top rope when he came out, like for his entrance. He would get on the top rope, do the pose, and then cut a backflip and land on his feet.
It's
And
just amazing.
But could you imagine seeing that?
right?
That would make you want to come and see it, right?
Yeah.
That's
My
what it
God.
is.
But could you, the stress on that ring,
You're killing it, dude.
Yeah.
You're killing it.
so, he used to piss off these promoters, like, damn it, stay off of the middle. You're not a flyer. And he goes, I do what I want. Are you going to tell me no? I mean,
Well,
gonna
I
tell me
mean,
no?
I was well done graduated whenever DAP had to. Like I said, he's always took me under his wing, but he really had to, like, Logan, we need to have a chat.
yeah.
And he said, you know how to wrestle. There's no question about it. He said, but you need to learn how to be a big man and wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, all right, I'll give it a shot. And, as much as I have to pull back, I'm thankful that he's saving my body.
Yeah.
300, I have no business doing the stuff I was doing.
Yeah.
I really don't.
And if you're going to break that out, if you're going to go there, like what Jake the Snake Roberts told me when I met him at a con one time, he said, don't do all the crazy stuff unless they're paying you.
Yeah.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
when it's a 5,000 plus people there, and the promoter's already told you you're getting at least a good $300-400, dude, yeah, do it. Give these people
Balls
a
out.
moment,
That's right.
but don't do it at the Gina Community Center in front of 60 people maybe for $50 because if something goes wrong, well, you've made $50, 50 people were there to see it, and now you're in the ER. Whereas if you're in the ER, but 5,000 people saw it, and you made enough to put a dent in these medical bills here, then the risk may be worth the reward there.
I remember when he told you that because he was looking over at me and Ricka because we had our Singapore canes from the match in Marshall. He's like, "Yeah, don't do the crazy shit."
Yeah. Jake the Snake. He tells me that, and he kind of glances up because y'all just got the kendos signed, and he looks over at y'all and goes, "Yeah, also don't do all that crazy shit." And I was like, "You do know I rode with those guys. I'm gonna go tell him he said that."
I love it. I love that he acknowledged it.
I have a bucket list. Dap, I love you. I'm going to check off my bucket list. Yeah, it may not be all with UWE. I do want to have a Singapore cane match. I want to have a ladder match, table match. I want to go crazy.
Well, before the
and I want to do it before the arthritis sets in. I want to do it while I'm physically able.
Well, I remember he went back there and started politicking, going into our center Texas. Hey man, what do we got to do to get a table out there? And I was like, okay, we're going there. All right. So I had my bull rope ready. I had my weapons ready. But I remember he goes back there politicking. He's like, what do we have to do with the venue owner to get a table involved? I'm like, oh, so it's like that. Okay.
What you had already put me in a rock and a hard spot. I was like, you were talking about using your
the bull rope
and cowbell and cutting me open. I'm like, well, you're going through a damn table. I'm not bleeding for free.
Well, you're making an argument there. But
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
Hold my beer.
Man, I tell you, I love this lifestyle we got, folks. What I will tell y'all before we get out of here is that it's what you're hearing right now. Three wrestlers that train together, having a good time, reminiscing. That is so rare. You're not going to get that with everyone you meet in this business.
No, you're not, man.
You're going to meet a lot of assholes. You're going to meet a lot of good guys that you're just simply put, you're just coworkers. It's like, hey Jerry, how you doing? Oh, I'm good, man. Who you working tonight? This guy. Cool. All right, man. Well, hey, we're going to Waffle House later. Might see you there, might not, and you leave it at that. But the people you trained with, the people that you were little babies starting off learning how to hit the ropes correctly, man, that runs deep after a while. And like, it's a good group of guys I fell in with. You guys, some of the other ones from Class 1 and 2. Really, Class 1, 2, and 3 of UW Academy was it kind of all globs together. We're that first year crew,
yeah.
And we some of us don't like each other, but for the most part, that's home base right there. Mm-hmm. We hit the road, we make other friends, we make a lot of enemies, but you always got home base. So if you're interested in pro wrestling training, you live in the Louisiana area, UWE, United Wrestling Entertainment, Pro Wrestling Academy of Louisiana. It is a mouthful, yes. UWE, Pro Wrestling Academy of Louisiana. You will be in fantastic hands. Dapper Dan's going to take lead on your training. Prince Fontenot is the hands-on trainer. Because, if I was retired and had a wrestling school on my property, I'd probably be drinking beer by the pool, too. So,
Exactly.
Anyway, Prince Fontenot is the hands-on trainer. Dapper Dan is the big picture guy, and also the booker and all that. Two great wrestling minds, and like we've been saying, they have your body's interest at mind. Even when you don't, they're going to pull you back. So, great. And also, it is a steal. It's a steal. Most wrestling training costs between $8,000 and $10,000. DAP's only going to charge you $3,000, and it's not one of those where you're tied up for a year. If you're good enough to start working matches after 2 months, well, you still got to pay the rest of that $3,000. But we're going to get you in there, and so great program. If you've ever looked in, and also referees, managers, we take those as well. Come on in. Always trying to add to the UWE family, so reach out, guys. And also check us out on YouTube, UWE, United Wrestling Entertainment. You can find us on the YouTube. I actually have the Seguin, Texas show. It's still private, still hidden. I like to give it a while, let it hit 365 Network first, but that will be available really soon. In the meantime, you can check out all of our other great matches, all of our other great shows. Subscribe to the 365 Network on Roku because not just us are on there. A lot of great indie shows, indie promotions, and really all over the country. But of course, we're based in the Arklatek region, so a lot of good Arklatek stuff going on the network. Guys, thank y'all for coming in, man. Happy holidays. It's been a good one. This conversation took a couple of weird turns, but I loved it.
Oh, I enjoy this.
It's definitely what it's all about, man.
You can't always be serious all the
No,
time.
no,
you
you can't.
You gotta loosen up a little bit.
Yeah,
And I could talk wrestling for hours and hours.
you know what I think we're going to do for in 2023 is we're actually going to start taking this podcast on the road, and when me and G are maybe doing a show together in another state or something, we're going to do a road trip version.
Oh yeah.
Where we're just in the car.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Because guys, that's where half of this crap comes from is car rides and stuff. We're just kind
Set
of
up like a live feed camera, dude.
like we're doing a rehash. We're gonna give you the raw as it's happening. So
You're gonna see the
That's
road
what you
rage
could call
and
it,
everything.
the raw cowboy.
Okay.
Okay.
And on that note, God bless. Take care. We're
See
gonna
you
get out
later.
of here.
Thanks,
Tombstone.
everybody.